Russian motorcycle squads pushed across an open dirt road near the front line, trying to cover several hundred yards before Ukrainian defenders could react. There were no tanks leading the assault, no heavy BMP column behind them, only fast riders, ATVs, and small infantry teams betting everything on speed. But the route was already being watched. A Ukrainian UAV had spotted the movement from above, marked the road, and turned that narrow approach into a kill corridor before the first FPV drone even moved. That was the gamble behind the motorcycles. Russia was not sending in a classic armored assault with tanks in front and BMPs rolling behind. This time the attack was smaller, faster, and harder to read from the ground. Dirt bikes, ATVs, buggies, and light infantry teams pushed across several hundred yards of exposed terrain, trying to reach the tree line, broken houses, or trench entrances before Ukraine could concentrate fire. On paper, it looked practical. A motorcycle is cheaper than a BMP, faster than a soldier on foot, and less obvious than a tank. But this was not a sign of strength. It was a sign of pressure. They traded armor for speed. But they forgot one thing: speed only matters if no one is watching. Before we move into the moment Ukrainian drones spotted the entire assault from above, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments. Do you think speed can still beat drones on the modern battlefield? That was the mistake Russia made. The riders believed speed would carry them across the open ground, but Ukraine was not reacting from the trench line alone. A reconnaissance UAV was already above the road, watching the formation unfold in real time. It identified the lead bikes, the trailing riders, the main route, the nearest turn, the tree line ahead, and the broken buildings that could become emergency cover. T-minus 60 seconds. The route was confirmed. T-minus 45. FPV teams were placed on alert. T-minus 30. The Russian motorcycles began spreading out. T-minus 15. The lead rider pushed into the exposed stretch. T-minus 5. Ukraine no longer had to guess. The target picture was clear. The drone was not just a weapon. It was the eye, the map, and the command post in the sky. Once the target picture was clear, Ukraine did not need to hit everything at once. The first FPV drone only had to stop the lead vehicle. When it struck, one motorcycle was taken out of the formation. But the real damage was bigger than one machine. The rhythm collapsed. Riders behind it had only seconds to choose. Push past the danger point, stop in the open, turn back, abandon their bikes, or run toward the nearest trees and broken houses. Every choice created another signal for the UAV above. The reconnaissance drone kept the full picture. FPV teams hunted moving targets, and artillery or mortars could lock down any group that gathered too closely. One vehicle was stopped, but what truly fell apart was the momentum of the assault. After the first strike broke the formation, the surviving riders had to move fast. Some abandoned their motorcycles and ran toward the tree line. Others pushed toward shattered walls, shell-damaged houses, shallow fighting holes, or trench entrances only a few hundred feet away. From the ground, those places looked like cover, but from above, they were already marked. The Ukrainian UAV stayed on them, keeping every doorway, roofline, and escape path inside the frame. FPV drones shifted toward the entrances. Bomber drones watched the trenches and fighting pits. Ukrainian infantry held their line and moved carefully, refusing to rush into blind corners. Electronic warfare continued working in the background, making it harder for Russian drones to regain control of the sky. The wall gave them cover from rifles. It did not erase the drone that watched them enter. But the trap did not end just because the drones had done their work. Once Russian soldiers reached trenches, basements, ruined rooms, and blind corners, the fight became slower and more dangerous. A UAV could see the roofline. An FPV could hit an entrance. A bomber drone could pressure a fighting hole from above. But no drone could remove every risk inside a narrow trench only a few feet wide. Ukrainian infantry could not get careless. They had to slow down, check each section, and treat every doorway or bend as a possible threat. In one close contact moment, even a surrender signal still carried uncertainty, forcing soldiers to keep discipline and control before moving closer. So Ukraine used drones first to reduce the danger, then infantry followed only when the position was safer to approach. If prisoners or wounded soldiers appeared, the priority became security, control, and aid when conditions allowed. Drones can open the way. But people still decide how a battle ends with discipline, control, and restraint. That is why the fight did not end at the trench line. Ukraine's answer was not one miracle weapon. It was the system. Reconnaissance UAVs found the Russian motorcycles before they reached cover. FPV drones hit moving vehicles and broke the assault's timing. Bomber drones pressured trenches. fighting holes, and small buildings from above. Mortars and artillery stood ready to strike gathering points or retreat routes if Russian troops clustered together. Electronic warfare helped protect Ukrainian drone links and made it harder for Russian drones to respond. Defensive infantry held their positions instead of rushing forward too early. Behind them, short-range air defense helped shield the rear from possible drone retaliation, while ground robots could support dangerous supply or evacuation missions. Ukraine did not win because of a single drone. Ukraine won because drones, artillery, infantry, electronic warfare, air defense, and unmanned ground vehicles worked like one continuous chain. That continuous chain did its job. Mission accomplished. Russia's motorcycle assault failed to punch a real hole through Ukraine's defensive line. The speed Moscow trusted became a visible trail for Ukrainian UAVs, FPV teams, and infantry watching from the ground. The bigger lesson was not just tactical. It was strategic. Light vehicles can cross hundreds of yards faster than armored columns, but they cannot replace protection, coordination, or control of the low sky. Ukraine proved that any road seen by a drone can become a controlled corridor. The battlefield ended quiet again. Broken tracks in the dirt, a UAV circling overhead, and Ukrainian soldiers holding the line with discipline and restraint.